Have you heard or seen the reports that Bill Belichick might be the head coach at UNC?
Yeah, I seen it, man. Shoot. Bill Belichick can get it too, man. We go 5 years. You know, we go. And no matter who the coach is for UNC, we go kick them.
That's CJ Bailey, a freshman QB for NC State. Talking that talk, we'll see if he can walk that walk a little bit later now that Belichick is official. And to talk a little bit more about that, we bring in Cooper Petagna, the national recruiting analyst for 24/7 Sports. And Cooper, I know you live and breathe recruiting. How much does Belichick, being in this collegiate world, just shake things up when it comes to recruiting?
Well, it's like a Deion Sanders type of impact, and we didn't know what to expect then. And then 2 years later, you fast forward, one of the biggest roster overhauls that we've seen in college football, maybe the biggest roster overhaul that we've seen with Colorado. They took almost 95 transfer commitments over the last 2 years. Now with UNC, they're coming off a 6-6 record. I think North Carolina a lot better in shape in terms of where the roster sits right now. But it's going to be really, really fascinating what it's going to look like for Bill Belichick to recruit the high school ranks. How much is he going to lean into that? How much is he going to lean into the portal? That's really going to be the element here that I find truly, truly fascinating for Bill Belichick in the next couple months.
I feel like you can't talk recruiting now without talking money, without mentioning NIL. So when you look at that for the Tar Heels, what do you think maybe the budget might look like for Belichick with that NIL? Will it be huge just because of his name?
Yeah, we've heard upwards of $20 million, and I think that's what North Carolina had to do to secure Bill Belichick. And you're talking about a guy that won 6 Super Bowls, and Bill Belichick, I think, was pretty honest about this with North Carolina. We were going to have to be one of the programs that was going to commit the most financially, and that $20 million mark would put North Carolina on top of college football, really kind of in that top 5 range. So you think about Bill Belichick, 72 years old. How long is the window? You just mentioned a 5-year contract for him as well. You know, college football is moving more towards a transactional type of feel with each and every day. I think Bill Belichick, North Carolina, Michael Lombardi, his new GM that worked with him all those years ago in New England, they're going to test the limits here at college football and how black and white this transactional feel to it can actually be.
Yeah, you mentioned Lombardi, so as he makes that transition down to college as well to be the GM there for the Tar Heels, what does that look like for him on a day-to-day basis? How does that all play out?
I think it's going to be more roster construction, and obviously I think it's progressive in a way that you're taking a staff and Bill Belichick and Lombardi. These guys are intimately familiar with the way things work in the NFL, and I think they're going to try to take their stamp, their feel of what they used to do on Sundays and bring that to college football. I think they're going to try to bend it to their will, not the opposite. I don't expect these guys to really try to adjust as much, but Lombardi's certainly a guy that's going to have his hands all over the roster. I think he's going to build out a staff the way that he sees it. I think we're going to see one of the most robust player personnel departments in the country, and I think that's what it's going to look like. And if they do that, I expect the rest of the country to kind of follow. That's what I find interesting as well. So whether or not this works out on the field, I expect this hire really to kind of change the game of college football forever.
So maybe their plan might be to try to fit that square peg into a round hole. But at the end of the day, as much as it's become transactional for recruiting, you've still got to have relationships with these kids in some way, shape, or form to get them to want to come play for you. Look at a guy who's 72 years old in Belichick trying to relate to a 17-year-old. And on the surface, you'd figure, okay, wait, there's nothing they have in common, but maybe the last Super Bowl Belichick won, these kids were like 12, so they still can remember that. Does that help for the relationship piece in helping to relate?
It should, but North Carolina, their marketing department, they got to start working on this. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I'm at an all-star game, high school all-star game down in Mobile right now. I asked a player what he thought about this hire last night. He asked me, who is that? Is that the former head coach of the Patriots? So that's where we're at. You mentioned it. These guys were 12 years old. They're going to be younger and younger the more that he recruits. That's why I kind of mentioned, are they going to go to the high school ranks? Is this going to be a team that leans heavily on the portal? I'm fascinated by this. And if they do go to the high school ranks, are they going to simply say, here's the message. You have the opportunity to be coached by the greatest coach of all time, a guy that has the most pedigree and the most cachet of anybody to ever do this. Financially, here's what we can do for you, but in terms of all the bells and whistles, in terms of loving you up, it's kind of out the window. And if he does that, like I said, there's some wrinkles here where if he can do this effectively, show that he can do this effectively, is going to change the game.
I really just want to be a fly on the wall for an official visit, though, because I'm wondering what will that look like with Bill Belichick bringing in a 5-star recruit? Because we saw what it looked like with Brian Kelly when he started over there at LSU. I'm calling it cringe. This video right here, like you don't have moves like that, Coach Kelly. You don't even know what you're doing. Like what is this? What are the odds that we see Bill Belichick out here posted up, hitting his gritty, doing whatever, just to try to secure a high school talent?
Man, Brian Kelly catching strays out here, man. I mean, Belichick will surprise you sometimes. I mean, you go back and showed up at Randy Moss's Halloween party. There's other things out there. He seems like a fun guy and down to earth. No, I don't expect him to do that, and it's a great question about the official visits because it's kind of interesting. If they run it like a top 30 NFL visit, then it's going to be straight business. Let's put you up on a whiteboard. Let's see how you process all these things that high school athletes aren't really used to, right? So it's kind of a clash of wills here in terms of, these high school guys that have been buttered up everywhere they go. They've been told that they're going to see the field early. They've been told that they're the best. And, what's it going to look like when they get to a certain program? Now you have Belichick saying, hey, I've been here, done that. This is the way that it's going to be. You're either in or you're out. So that part, as well as all the other components that we talked about, I mean, you talk about one big case study. That's what we're going to get here in Chapel Hill.
I'm in on seeing some dance moves if it looks whack like Brian Kelly, because if a stray is deserved, a stray is deserved, and I will fire it no matter when it needs it. Cooper Petagna, thank you so much for tapping in with us, talking some Bill Belichick. And, of course, 24/7 Sports is your home for all things collegiate and high school recruiting, that wall-to-wall team coverage. The recruiting rankings certainly need to rise up for North Carolina because they are at the bottom of the barrel in the ACC, but now they have Belichick as their coach.